So if I blur everything up and then make a bunch of, quick cuts, does that make the show more entertaining? What do you think? American Horror Story Coven episode review for Burn, Witch Burn. And I gotta tell you, the way they chose to edit and shoot this episode kind of was a downer for me. What I'm talking about is the whole zombie attack on the house. Whenever the zombies were actually attacking, they went into this hyper-edited, super quick-cut mode with the blurry vision here and there, sort of fisheye lens. And then during the hallway scene with Fiona in the hospital, and in the hospital room with Cordelia and the husband, it was just a little too hyper stylized for me this time, and it kind of lowered the quality of the episode, in my opinion. Well, let's start out. I want to talk about LaLaurie first. Madame LaLaurie. We got another opening scene of her in the past, and she is just a terrible, awful person back in the day. I mean, she's cutting out people's eyeballs and intestines, and then her 3 daughters were going to get rid of her, so she decides to lock them up for just a year. Like, that's 1 year. Like, that's just not a big deal to her. And then the one who was organizing the whole let's murder my mom deal, she was going to stuff shit in her mouth for Christmas Day. Great. Terrific. But throughout the course of this episode, she had, like, She hasn't been as terrible of a character as she was in the past, and you could see her sort of changing in previous episodes, but it really kind of hit that fact home in this episode. Maybe 100 or so years locked in a box underground will make you, reconsider your life strategies or something. Although I gotta say, she made a super boneheaded move by opening the door for the zombie daughter. Why would you do that? And they didn't really cover how exactly she got out of the cast iron grip of the zombie and then to later save Queenie's life by stabbing the zombie through the heart. By the way, I've never seen a zombie die by getting stabbed through the heart before. It's always got to be the brain. I don't really know how that worked out, but whatever. We did get to see a pretty cool scene where Queenie cut her own throat to try and attack the zombie. Didn't work, but it looked really cool. And then once that whole sequence was over, we got a nice little moment with LaLaurie. She's sobbing and Queenie's holding her. She says that killing her daughter was the kindest thing she ever did for her. Further showing that she is extremely regretful of all the terrible things she did in the past. The problem is, the things that she did do in the past, they were so incredibly horrible. It's kind of hard to get behind what was such a twisted character at one point. All right, so let's talk about the neighbor guy, whose name escapes me at the moment. But he goes outside because he thinks the mass zombie attack is some sort of super prank or something. And he takes an axe to the back, along with a couple of other goofballs that show up. They get ripped to shreds. But this guy survives, the neighbor. And, this is one of those scenes where there was super quick cuts, blurry fisheye lens and just hyper edited. It kind of ruined the scene for me. I did like Nan going out to save him. They hid in the car, and then one thing we got to see was Zoe. She took charge during this whole attack. I mean, this is the first time this season where I've ever actually saw some good qualities, some not idiotic qualities coming out of Zoe. She took charge. She was leading the way. She saved Nan and the neighbor dude. And she gets a chainsaw, and she goes freaking ballistic on these zombies. Except for one small problem. It was, again, way too hyper-edited. They just cut from kill to kill to kill. Blurry vision here and there, which, I'm fine with just mass chainsaw zombie murdering, but, it could have been done a little bit better than that. Then she somehow managed to break Marie's zombie spell at the end there, which could now suggest that Zoe really is the next Supreme. Alright, so that's the zombie part of the episode. Now let's talk about Fiona and Cordelia's part of the episode. I liked parts of this because we got to see Fiona, she's always so horrible to Cordelia, but when her life is on the line, when her safety's on the line, you could tell she really cares about her, and she's just completely, ruined and devastated when she sees what's happened to Cordelia, and that Cordelia is going to be blind now. But then we got this weird hospital scene where she gets all pilled up, and she saves the stillborn baby. I did like that a little bit because it showed, how much she really cares for Cordelia. But the problem is, I honestly didn't know if what we were watching at that point was really happening or if it was some sort of a dream state she was in. So the impact was a little lost on me because, like, the hospital looked really crappy. The lights were going out, and there was, like, random crazy-looking people all over the place. And it just kind of reminded me of Asylum from last year. And it just seemed like it was some sort of dream or not real at all. So it kind of took away a little bit of the impact for me. And it was, again, more editing, more blurry vision, and I didn't really care for that. And then we also got to see Cordelia's got some sort of new power now that she's lost her sight. Maybe she has the ability to, when she touches a person, she gets to see into their past or maybe what they're thinking about. Because she sees that her husband is a cheating bastard, and not only that, but he's some sort of crazy psychopath. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward. And, you know, just the fact that Cordelia is completely facially maimed now, and she's going to have to stay like that for the rest of this season. So then we go to the next day, towards the end of the episode, after we get some body burning, which, you know, nobody's going to notice that. Myrtle and the council show up. They're about to take over, but then they reveal that Myrtle was the one who threw the acid in Fiona's face. Except, nope, it was Queenie who used her power to frame Myrtle. She dipped her own hand in acid, putting the acid on Myrtle's hand so that Fiona could better implicate her. So it definitely did seem like Myrtle was after Fiona, and maybe she was the one that threw the acid into Cordelia's face, but again, with the hyper editing, was that a dream or not scenario, it's hard to tell. If Myrtle wasn't guilty, I think she would have put up a bigger struggle than that to try to prove her innocence than to just, you know, give up at one point and say, okay, burn me, even though she really didn't do any of the things that Fiona said she did. So after Myrtle gets torched, we get to this scene with Fiona and Queenie, where Queenie reveals what she did. She's having second thoughts about it. She doesn't know if she can keep it a secret. And Fiona, during this scene, I definitely got this sense of malice that she's got inside of her, and that I thought maybe even in that scene she might have killed Queenie right there. I mean, she's already killed one young witch without any problems. I don't think she would have any reservations doing it again, but she doesn't. She kind of like leads Queenie on, sort of tricks her into keeping the secret and helping her out. So right at the end of the episode, we had two scenes. We had the butler, well, he's doing his little tea party, and he breaks Madison's corpse's arm off, further adding to the terrible things that are happening to Madison on this show even after she's dead. I can't imagine what the hell she's going to look like by the end of this season, man. We had Myrtle's crispy body being brought back to life by Misty at the very end. So, who knows what's going to happen there. But Misty's part in the show, I think, is definitely going to increase. Alright, so my least favorite part of this episode was the edits, the way they shot the episode during those action scenes. They were just cutting and cutting and cutting and blurring it and stylizing it. It was just overdone way too much. And then they did some of that during the hospital sequence too, which was weird. I didn't think they needed to do that. It kind of lowered the impact of the scene for me a little bit. My favorite part of the episode was actually the character development with Fiona and LaLaurie. I kind of like how they're setting up Fiona to possibly be the worst thing that could happen to this coven. I mean, she took out Myrtle, even though Myrtle's like crispy but alive. She's out of the picture as far as being one of the leaders of the council. So now Fiona maybe take out some of the other witches at the school just to try for her quest to remain on top, to remain young. I'm not sure. And seeing LaLaurie, you know, change into this, from this really horrible character to this character that you can sympathize with if you can get over all the terrible things that she did. And, you know, is she going to be able to help out the Coven? Is she going to turn against Fiona and maybe side with the younger witches? Plus, the chainsaw kill at the end of the zombie attack was f***ing awesome. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a B-. It was not what I was hoping for. I was hoping for something a little bit more than what we got. And because what we did get, it was cool, but it was edited and done up way too much. Alright, JB Squared 61279 with American Horror Story Coven episode review, and I will see you guys next time.